Well, here's a sorry tale. It's one you will hear in many organisations. Imagine for a moment you've been asked, actually you've been told, to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Maybe your boss has asked you to redo a piece of work, or a proposal to a client has been declined. Or maybe you've been told about a decision that's been made that badly affects a project you're on. Can you remember a time when you were faced a difficult situation at work?
A situation you could not get out of. What did you do?
How did you stay positive?
How did you find ways to bounce back?
Pause this video now to think about that. Join us back in a moment when you've really had time to think and reflect on it.
Today we're talking about resilience. Resilience is talked about more and more, and yet it's not always clear what it means. People often assume, so we're going to offer a very simple definition. We suggest that resilience is being the ability to bounce back from difficulty. It's a bit like this rubber band. Actually, it might be better to think of resilience closer to this plant. As you'll know, plants don't start by being frost hardy. We have to teach them to get through cold and wind. So it's called stress hardiness. What we do is we put it out during the day just for a few hours and we let it get used to the stress of being cold. Eventually it's resilient and we can be confident that it will grow and flourish. But that's a plant. And we want to talk about you. How can you develop and maintain your resilience?
In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about developing a growth mindset, which has been created by Carol Dweck, a Stanford psychologist. One way to summarise a growth mindset is to think of it as simply recognising that we can always develop and improve through effort. Carol and others have shown through years of research that having such a sense of positive belief in oneself helps people achieve greater success, and crucially we can help change our own mindsets as well as those of other people. Too often, however, instead of having a growth mindset, we want immediate success now. After all, we're bright and intelligent people, right? Not succeeding straight away is frustrating, and this frustration can lead us to give up or conclude that we don't have natural ability. After all, no one enjoys feeling like a failure, and this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We avoid things that we do not succeed at. So what's the solution?
Well, one solution is to think about growth mindset as effort. And if you think about teaching a baby to walk, what would you say? Get up and walk? No, you'd actually help the baby, you'd coach the baby. So what you'd say is, first get up and get your balance, and then take one step and have a bit of a wobble. And realize that you are going to fall down. And that's not a sign of failure. That's just a step along the road of learning to walk. And by putting one foot in front of another, ta-da, you get a baby. And the baby is an adult and it can walk and it can talk. So the growth mindset is a simple acknowledgement that time and patience plus perseverance and effort, and here you are in a new place. You've grown, you've developed. This also enables you to bounce back every time you're knocked back. You can continue to be innovative in your approach and your solutions, and when you fall over, you know it's part of your learning. It is not failure. You are not diminished by a setback. You are building that muscle of resilience.
To conclude this video, I'm going to ask you to do some reflection on building your own resilience. Drawing on the prior example, I want you to try to identify beliefs or feelings that may be holding you back on something, like there's just not enough time to do this. Imagine you're coaching yourself on something where you've had a setback at work or in your program of study, or you're not achieving at the level you want to. Use these questions to approach that challenge with a new growth mindset. What do you believe about the setback? How do these beliefs limit you? How could you rephrase those limiting beliefs to something more positive? With this new belief, how can you move on? What can you do differently today? Take several minutes now, keeping these questions on screen to reflect on and note down your answers. And then go do something differently.